Imagine lying in a bedroom of a medieval castle. You wear several layers of clothing, a thick wool blanket, and even fur pulled over your head, yet you can see your own breath in the icy air. The shuttered window lets in no light, and the fire in the corner fireplace is dying down. The room hovers around 10 degrees Celsius. No wonder people still say cold as a castle. Thick stone walls kept enemies out but trapped the inhabitants in bone-chilling cold. How did people survive nights that could turn a home into an ice trap, or even a family tomb? In this video we reveal the everyday tricks that lords and nobles used to stay warm and one surprising engineering achievement that made parts of the Middle Ages ahead of their time. We'll discover which areas of a castle were actually used in winter and how architecture itself shaped the temperature indoors. From open fires, fireplaces, and tiled stoves to layered clothing, co-sleeping, and clever gadgets, medieval life was a constant battle with the cold. Behind those massive walls people were safe from attack, but comfort was scarce. Medieval castles were raw and often smelly. Only a small fraction of rooms were occupied in winter, the rest, corridors, towers, guardhouses, remained icy and dark. Glass windows appeared only in the 13th century in the homes of the rich and let in little light or warmth. Wooden shutters or stretched canvas blocked drafts but also the sun. Inside, light came from oil lamps filled with animal fat or from smoky torches. To fight the chill, nobles lined some chambers with wooden limewash and hung colorful tapestries, which worked as insulation as well as decoration. Heavy curtains along walls and straw or carpets on floors kept the stone cold at bay. The grand banquet hall usually had an open fire in the middle and later a wall fireplace with a tall chimney. But at night the fire was throttled for safety, and the heat vanished quickly. Even with all-day burning, temperatures rarely exceeded 10 degrees Celsius, considered luxurious at the time. Privacy was minimal. Forget the idea of every person having a private, heated bedroom. Even monarchs slept with servants, guards, or courtiers. Ordinary residents shared common rooms and sometimes even beds. It reduced intimacy but pooled precious body heat. Every extra person meant a bit more warmth, and many welcomed the closeness during brutal winters. Human warmth was literally life-saving. Fire was the first and most important ally against the cold. Since prehistoric times, anyone who could make a fire had a chance to survive. In medieval castles, heat came from several types of heaters. The oldest was the open hearth, simple stone boxes in the middle of great halls. As chimneys spread in the 12th to 13th centuries, fireplaces moved to the walls, their smoke drawn upward. Legend says Queen Eleanor of Aquitaine introduced wall fireplaces to northern France after enduring bitter winters in stone castles. By the 14th century a technological marvel appeared, the tiled stove. These enclosed ceramic heaters stored warmth far better than an open fire. Lit from an adjoining room, they kept living areas free of smoke and ash while radiating heat long after the flames died. They used less wood, posed fewer fire risks, and became a symbol of luxury. Where tiled stoves were absent, people relied on iron braziers, portable baskets of glowing coals that could be carried to chapels or guard posts. Useful but risky, they could consume oxygen or start fires if overturned. Villagers even brought small hand warmers, metal spheres filled with coals, to cold stone churches. Castle kitchens, with fires burning almost non-stop under great cauldrons, were among the warmest places. Servants' quarters were sometimes built above them to benefit from the rising heat and the scent of fresh bread. Lords spent evenings in great halls by the fireplace but often retreated at night to small bedchambers where heat lingered. These private rooms might have their own stove or fireplace, or servants would bring a brazier of coals to chase the chill. Clothing and bedding were just as vital as fire. Medieval people mastered layering, the onion principle. They wore long woolen undergarments, overlaid with wool tunics, jackets, and hooded cloaks. Leather pieces and especially furs protected against wind. Furs also signified status. In 14th century England, only the wealthy could wear fox or lamb, while common folk were limited to weasel or cat. Nobles flaunted ermine or sable-lined coats, servants made do with coarse wool. Even those without fur depended on wool's insulating power, which keeps heat even when damp. Some even wore deliberately felted, slightly damp wool that hardened and gave off warmth as it dried. Beds of the wealthy were high wooden frames, often four-poster with heavy curtains. At night maids drew the curtains to create a warm tent. Several layers of linens, fur blankets, and feather quilts held precious heat. Before bedtime, servants sometimes slid a long-handled warming pan of hot coals between the sheets, warming the bed and driving out insects. Sleeping close together was another key. Records and illustrations show people sharing beds freely. Servants might sleep at their lord's feet, siblings huddled together. Each body added warmth. Peasants often slept with their animals. Even in castles, dogs were welcome indoors, giving rise to the old phrase "the three-dog night," meaning a night so cold you needed 3 dogs to stay warm. Heated bricks or stones wrapped in cloth served as primitive hot water bottles. Winter in the Middle Ages was long and merciless, often stretching for months. Survival required more than fires and blankets. It demanded a slower rhythm of life. In regions with harsh winters, such as the French Alps or parts of Russia, villagers entered a semi-hibernation. Historical sources describe families sleeping many extra hours, sometimes waking only once a day to stoke the fire and eat a small meal. This conserved both food and fuel when supplies were scarce. Animals followed a similar pattern. Farmers kept cows and pigs in dark barns and fed them lightly so they remained calm and required less fodder. Everyone, human or animal, conserved energy. The nobility, though better supplied, also slowed down. Fields lay fallow, military campaigns ceased, and winter schedules revolved around quiet planning, occasional hunts, and long evenings by the fire. Chronicles even tease knights for gaining weight while lounging through the cold season. Technical innovations helped too. The tiled stove became widespread in the 13th to 16th centuries, continuously improved and beautifully decorated. Other clever details included double doors or thick curtains in doorways to prevent drafts, foot warmers, wooden or ceramic boxes of hot coals slid under a table, and feather-filled pillows preheated by the hearth before bedtime. These small inventions made a tangible difference during the darkest months. Yet the most remarkable solution was almost futuristic. In rare cases, medieval builders created systems resembling modern central heating. One striking example survives in the Teutonic Knights Castle of Malbork, Marienburg, in today's Poland. In the 14th century, its engineers designed a hypocaust, an underfloor hot air system. Massive ovens in the basement heated chambers filled with stones until they glowed red. Hot air and flue gases then traveled through channels under the floors and inside the walls of the great hall above. Dozens of ceramic grilled vents released gentle warmth into the vast Gothic room. Adjustable dampers controlled airflow, allowing nights to maintain a comfortable temperature for a day or two with far less wood than an open hearth required. Visitors were astonished to feel warm stone floors in the dead of winter. Such engineering was exceptional, few castles could afford it. But Malbork proves that medieval craftsmen were capable of surprisingly advanced technology centuries ahead of modern central heating. This story shows that surviving a freezing night in a medieval castle relied on many overlapping strategies. Architecture confined life to a few rooms, wood paneling, tapestries, and curtains added insulation. Fireplaces, tiled stoves, and portable braziers supplied heat. Layered wool and precious furs trapped body warmth. Families slept together, sometimes even with animals, sharing vital heat. People adjusted their routines, going to bed earlier, sleeping in 2 phases, and conserving energy like their livestock. Modern comforts, radiators, insulation, constant electricity make it hard to imagine sleeping at 10 degrees Celsius as medieval nobles did. Yet their resilience and ingenuity still teach lessons. Layer clothing before turning up the thermostat. Value companionship during winter hardships. And remember that our ancestors' determination, from open hearths to hypocausts, laid the groundwork for today's cozy homes. Next time you visit a cold stone castle, picture those long winters. They endured them every year, relying on hard work, clever design, and each other's warmth. Their struggle for heat is the hidden story behind every silent medieval hall.